Hi, today we're going to talk about post-labor economics. A couple of months back, I made a video where I said you can forget all about UBI. I still think so. It's a question of balancing the budget, and it just doesn't balance if you try to offer people a reasonable level of UBI. For the politicians to want to implement or even looking at something like UBI, they would also need to see a rapidly rising unemployment. Been looking at what all the major consultancy reports are saying about the future of the job market. We're going to see slightly more economic growth in terms of 1% more on GDP, for example. If you look at ARK Investor, who are the most progressive, they might say, okay, we might spike at 7 or 6% GDP growth per year. Even then, it will take like 12 to 15 years to double the economy. Still then, we would have trouble affording UBI. Also, if you look at unemployment numbers, it doesn't look that bad in the report. But I think the reports are all wrong, at least the way it's going to feel for most white-collar workers. I think the real truth is that a lot of people will be impacted. It just will not show up in either the unemployment rates or the inflation rates or the GDP. Most people will come under tremendous stress. They may not show up in the unemployment statistics, but instead of being unemployed, they're going to be underemployed. Think about the successful consultants at McKinsey. I think actually many of them might lose their job. I think many accountants might lose their job. Many people in, for example, marketing might lose their job. But they will not be unemployed. I think they will scramble as consultants, scramble to get anywhere near the salary that they had before. Some will even have to take a job at like a cafe or a restaurant. So in this video, we're going to dig much deeper into that. We're going to talk about what do the reports say, why are the reports kind of wrong, and how it's going to impact people. And finally, and most importantly, at the end of the video, we're going to talk about what can you do about it. What can you do to make sure you're not one of those people who are negatively impacted? Because let's remember, many people will also be positively impacted by this development. So it's all about taking advantage right here and right now.
Okay, so first let's take a look at what the major consultancy houses are actually saying about the next decade, especially when it comes to GDP growth and unemployment. Let's start with GDP. Across McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte, and even Stanford's AI index, the message is surprisingly consistent. AI could add somewhere between 0.5% and 1.5% of extra annual global growth over the next decade. That might not sound like much, but in economic terms, it's huge. It's enough to reshape entire industries, but it's still a far cry from the exponential boom many expected. And every report adds caveats. These numbers only hold if companies actually manage to implement AI at scale, something that's still the exception rather than the rule. Even McKinsey notes that just 1% of organizations are close to full AI maturity today. So realistically, in the short term, the effect could be closer to 0.5%, measurable but far from world-changing. Then, of course, there's ARK Invest, which sees things very differently. According to ARK Invest's 2025 outlook, the real economic impact of AI starts to show around now in 2025. But instead of a sudden explosion, they describe an acceleration curve. Slow at first, then compounding year after year. You can see it on the graph here. Growth begins to pick up in the late 2020s, crosses 5% a year by 2028, and then keeps climbing until it reaches almost 10% annual global GDP growth by 2035. That's roughly triple the growth rate that consulting firms like McKinsey or PwC expect. Why so different? Because they see AI not just as a productivity tool, but as a new form of labor. They believe that as the cost of computing, energy, and robotics collapses, intelligent software and humanoid machines will take over much of the world's routine work. Every new generation of AI systems then builds the next one faster, creating a feedback loop of intelligence and output. In their view, the limit to growth is no longer people, it's compute and energy. And once those costs fall enough, they expect the economy to enter an exponential phase where AI effectively becomes the workforce. So while the big consultancy houses imagine a steady climb, ARK Invest envisions something closer to liftoff. A technological boom that could double the global economy in a single decade. None of the major research houses, not McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte, or even ARK Invest, predict mass unemployment. But they all agree on one thing: AI will reshape work on a massive scale. But disrupted doesn't mean gone. It means the tasks inside those jobs will change, often radically. Clerical work, bookkeeping, customer support, logistics, and basic manufacturing are at the top of the list. Meanwhile, demand grows for people who can design, deploy, or manage AI systems, and for roles that require human empathy, healthcare, education, and creative work. The headlines make it sound manageable. A 25 to 30% job disruption rate, mostly task changes, not job losses. But the truth is, how it feels will depend entirely on where you live, what you do, and where you are in your career.
Hi, this video is sponsored by myself. I want to invite you to my school community. It's a place where I help you get more out of AI. The main idea is we combine future predictions with your own personal information so you get tailor-made advice just for you. It could be advice regarding your health, it could be advice regarding your career, and we even have investment mentors inside the community. It's totally free, so there's no reason not to join straight away. There's a link in the descriptions of this video and also in the comments. See you inside the community.
If you're working in industries on the front lines of automation, finance, marketing, customer service, logistics, or in AI-heavy regions like California, Seattle, Shenzhen, or Shanghai, the transition won't feel gradual at all. It will feel like the ground shifting beneath your feet because the timing isn't uniform. Some companies are moving cautiously, others are automating at full speed. And that gap could decide whether you get augmented or replaced. The reports don't fully capture that human dimension. For someone in their 50s facing AI tools they've never used, the pressure to pivot can feel overwhelming. For graduates, it's the opposite. Entry-level tasks are vanishing, making it harder to even get that first job. So yes, the macro numbers look stable. But depending on your industry, your location, and your company's automation strategy, the coming decade could be far more disruptive and far harder to navigate than the spreadsheets suggest. The period we're entering now, and where millions of jobs shift but few vanish, I call the turbulent years. A decade of mass disruption where unemployment stays low on paper, but underemployment, burnout, and constant reinvention become the new reality. According to McKinsey and the ILO, 25 to 30% of global jobs will be reshaped by AI before 2035. The pressure won't hit evenly. The US and China, especially the West Coast and tech corridors, will see the fastest automation and the highest income growth. Europe, more cautious and regulated, risks stagnation, possibly higher unemployment as industries lag behind. In these years, millions could move from stable, full-time work into freelance or gig roles, often earning less while competing with AI. So even if the economy looks strong, it won't feel that way for many. That's why it's critical to have a plan, to build the skills, income streams, and adaptability that can protect you during the turbulent years. AI and robotics won't hit every industry the same. The hardest disruption comes to finance, tech, retail, and manufacturing, where automation could replace most routine work. Entertainment, logistics, and professional services will transform fast, but still need people. And healthcare, farming, and education will feel the lightest impact, where AI supports rather than replaces. So what can you actually do to prepare for the turbulent years? All the 2025 reports agree on one thing: adaptability will decide who thrives. McKinsey calls it super agency, which is the ability to use AI effectively. PwC puts a number on it. Workers with AI skills now earn a 56% wage premium, and salaries in AI-exposed industries are rising twice as fast as elsewhere. That's the clearest signal we've seen. AI literacy is already translating into income. Second, diversify your income. Deloitte projects that over 40% of knowledge workers will shift to freelance or project-based work by 2035. That means stability won't come from your employer. Start building side income streams, a personal brand, or specialized consulting services powered by AI. Third, keep learning, especially if you're over 50. The ILO report warns that older workers are 4 times less likely to receive AI retraining. invest in online learning, new certifications, and digital fluency. Fourth, build your safety net. Most Western households only have 2 months of savings, and that's not enough for the turbulent years. Aim for 6 to 8 months at least, so triple your buffer so you can absorb income shocks, retrain, or pivot when needed. And finally, start owning assets. If the long-term trend really is a post-labor economy, where we simply need less human work, then wealth will shift from wages to ownership. That means equities, intellectual property, or businesses that earn while you sleep. Because in the turbulent years ahead, your advantage won't just be what you know, it will be what you can build and what you own. If you like AI-focused videos like this one, consider watching the video to your right. It dives even deeper into how AI will reshape the world.